The following may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Johnson & Johnson vaccine arrives in TNT. The country has just received its first tranche of 108,700 doses of the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccine. The vaccine arrived at the Piarco International Airport around 3:10 p.m. Friday and was handed over to the government. The doses were expected to arrive at 7 p.m. on Thursday, but the flight was delayed. Minister of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs said he was on site to observe the delivery of the vaccine. By 3:20 p.m., the vaccine was being offloaded from an Amerijet aircraft. The vaccine was procured by the government with the help of the African Union. The Prime Minister announced in June that the country had ordered 800,000 of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine from the African Medical Supplies Platform to accelerate the national vaccination program. Before the arrival of this shipment, the African Union had donated 20 doses for TT's Olympic athletes in July. Trinidad and Tobago may be in for another 3 months of the state of emergency, S.O.E. The first session of the 12th Parliament begins on August 25th, and top of the agenda on the Parliament's order paper is the extension of the S.O.E. that is expected to be laid by Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. This means that the country could remain under the S.O.E. until late November as government seeks to retain the strict COVID-19 measure. The S.O.E. was first implemented on May 15 in the height of rising COVID-19 positive cases and was expected to run until May 30. On May 24, it was extended up until August 29. The extension requires a simple majority to be proclaimed. The motion states that according to the Constitution, the President may from time to time make a proclamation declaring that a state of public emergency exists, and before its expiration, the proclamation may be extended by a resolution supported by a simple majority vote of the House of Representatives. So, however, that no extension exceeds 3 months and the extensions do not in the aggregate exceed 6 months. Should it exceed 6 months, opposition support will be required. Opposition leader calls for an end to S.O.E. Opposition leader Kamla Persad-Bissessar is calling for an end of the state of emergency S.O.E. in place to curb the spread of COVID-19. The government goes to Parliament next week to extend the S.O.E. for another 3 months. The S.O.E. was implemented on May 15. In a press release on Friday, Persad-Bissessar said, by extending the S.O.E., Rowley and the PNM continue to display their craven lust for power without accountability. I call on the government to abandon this draconian measure and instead focus their efforts on restarting the economy and getting citizens vaccinated. She said Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley's move to extend the S.O.E. for a further 3 months revealed his bankruptcy of ideas in dealing with the pandemic. Persad-Bissessar said that while the government insisted on following the science, Rowley's policies appeared to be driven by his desire to be a dictator rather than scientific data. She said, "It is clear to everyone that objectives of the state of emergency have not been realized, as cases and the death toll from COVID-19 continue to climb. The S.O.E. has only succeeded in one thing, destroying thousands of jobs by closing down thousands of small and medium-sized businesses. Rowley must understand that lives and livelihoods are one and the same. If the S.O.E. is not saving lives or livelihoods, in whose interest is Rowley acting by further extending these harsh measures? There is no justification for continuing to curtail people's rights while destroying their livelihoods." Estranged wife granted full conduct of husband's funeral arrangements amid lawsuit. A woman who obtained an injunction stopping the funeral of her estranged husband due to a dispute with his alleged caregiver over the control of his estate has been given conduct over his funeral arrangements while the lawsuit over the issue is being pursued. On Tuesday, High Court Judge Ricky Rahim granted an order restraining Magdalene Roderick, also known as Teresa Rodriguez, from disposing of Lawrence Mark's body pending the determination of a case brought by his wife Jennifer Vigdale Mark. Following a virtual hearing of the lawsuit before Justice Rahim yesterday morning, the body was released by David Guide and Sons Funeral Services to Vigdale Mark and her children, and Roderick undertook not to take steps to meddle in Mark's estate pending the determination of the lawsuit. In a consent order entered in the case, Roderick also agreed to hand over Mark's documents, including his passport, bank cards, and a driver's permit that were in her possession. Mark, who was suffering from prostate cancer and diabetes mellitus, passed away last Thursday. Vigdale Mark claimed that they were married in 1981 and lived together continuously until May 2018, when he left their home to live with his brother in Sangre Grande. She claimed that her husband, with whom she had 4 children, filed for divorce in May 2019, but the petition was dismissed as he had not proven that they were living apart for the requisite period. She claimed that on the day Mark passed away, they were visited by Roderick, who informed them that he had died and that she was handling his funeral arrangements. I heard my daughter ask her how is that possible for her to handle my husband's funeral when he is a married man with children, to which the individual responded and said, "All of that changed now. I have never seen Teresa before," Vigdale Mark said in the document. She reported the incident to police, contacted her lawyers, and went to several funeral homes in search of her husband's body. She later found out that it was being kept by David Guide and Sons Funeral Services. However, the company refused to release his body without Roderick's approval and the payment of $5,000. Vigdale Mark claimed that she had received confirmation that Roderick had removed funds from her husband's credit union accounts. In an attempt to collect national insurance death benefit at the National Insurance Board, I was advised that Roderick had already collected same, and I cannot understand how she was able to do this, as I have been advised by my attorneys and verily believe same to be true that such a benefit is only made to the wife or cohabitee of a deceased person, none of which Roderick is, she said. She said that she had heard that her husband left a will with Roderick named as the executor and beneficiary, but claimed that she had not seen nor heard about it before Roderick introduced herself after her husband's death. Vigdale Mark is being represented by Farai Hav Masaisai, Jennifer Farah Tull, and Bernelle Joy Lafoucaide. Diego Martin caught charged for murder. A 31-year-old Special Reserve Police constable is due to appear at the Port of Spain Magistrates Court today, charged with murder. Patrick Gregg was detained on July 5, following the death of a Diego Martin man. However, he was released from custody 7 days later. Director of Public Prosecutions DPP Roger Gaspard SC advised that further investigation is to be conducted into the matter. After police conducted further investigations, Greg of Factory Road Diego Martin was re-arrested and charged with murder on Thursday. Police investigations revealed that the police constable was returning from his garden around 6:50 p.m. on July 5 when he heard a commotion. The officer then observed a group of 5 to 6 men beating his uncle a short distance away. The officer intervened and allegedly attempted to separate the group when he observed Kevin Benjamin, also called Naza, with a cutlass in his right hand. The officer allegedly called out to Benjamin to drop the cutlass. However, the man turned towards him and, with the cutlass raised, made a verbal threat to the officer. The police constable then drew his licensed firearm and discharged 1 round of 9mm ammunition at Benjamin, who fell to the ground. Benjamin was taken to the St. James Medical Complex for treatment. However, he was pronounced dead at 7:15 p.m. The investigation was supervised by Inspector Jones of the Homicide Bureau of Investigations Region 1 Office. Barrackpore men charged with assault of 18-year-old man. 2 of 3 Barrackpore men charged with 2 counts of assault of an 18-year-old male have been granted $200,000 bail each. The third accused, Hemraj Katwaru, 33, was denied bail. His criminal record tracings show he has a pending case in the High Court on a charge of attempted murder. The other 2 accused have no previous convictions or pending matters. Katwaru, Renaissance Cricks Ramdath, 35, and Philip Mushi Rupchan, 32, faced Princess Town Magistrate Indira Misira Gosin virtually on Friday. They were not called upon to enter a plea, as the charges laid by Corporal Sullivan were indictable. The 3 first appeared before Misira Gosin on Wednesday. She denied them bail while awaiting their criminal record tracings and ordered that they reappear on Friday. She adjourned the case to September 17. Sergeant Shazid Mohammed prosecuted. Katwaru and Ramdath reside at Tin Pan Alley and Rupchan at Location Road, all in Barrackpore. Attorney Aaron Smith represented Ramdath, a laborer. The charges stem from an incident on August 11 at a house where the men were allegedly drinking alcohol. A police report said the victim was asleep and was awakened to find one of the men sexually assaulting him. The 2 others were nearby and threatened to slit his throat with a knife if he screamed or alerted anyone. A report was made and the police began investigations and later arrested the suspects at their homes. Man shot by unknown assailants in Port of Spain. Police are probing the shooting of a 31-year-old Port of Spain man on Friday morning. Police said Alvin Daniel was standing with a group of other men on Duncan Street at around 8:15 a.m. when 2 men opened fire at them. Daniel was shot in the neck, shoulder, and left leg. Passers-by took him to hospital. Police from the Port of Spain task force visited the scene. The aftermath of pounding rains that covered parts of central, south, and northwest Trinidad on Thursday was still being felt yesterday. There were more than 500 reports of flooding in central Trinidad, flooding and landslides in Diego Martin and Sangre Grande, and flooding in Cuva, Tabaquite, Talparo, Pinal, and Debi over the past days. The Trinidad and Tobago Meteorological Service, TTMS, reported that while river levels have been steadily decreasing, some low-lying locations remained flooded. The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management, ODPM, reported yesterday that it received up to 503 reports of residential and street flooding in St. Helena, Kelly Village, Caroni, and Piarco, with pockets of deep water on the side streets of these areas. The ODPM said side streets in these areas received the brunt of floodwater. Residents said yesterday they expect to spend the weekend cleaning up as long as floodwaters continue to subside. In Diego Martin, there were several reports of flooded streets, 34 reports of landslides, and 4 fallen trees. but all hazards have been cleared, the ODPM noted in an update. There was flooding and at least 7 landslides in Sangre Grande. The ODPM said all hazards were cleared away and the roads were passable to vehicular traffic up to last night. In the Cuva, Talparo, and Tabaquite regions, there were several flood reports and a bridge collapsed. In the Penal-Dibe region, floodwaters were receding and all roads were accessible up to last night, but there were pockets of flooding in Suchet Trace, Dibe Trace, and La Fortune Road Woodland. In central Trinidad, one of the worst-hit areas, residents were unable to begin cleaning up as pockets of almost waist-high water remained in some areas yesterday. There were no reports of injuries. Water will be here for days.
Thank God for these fellas and them there on top of the truck who pull out me and my wife from the car. Thank God for them. Thank God for this fella too. This fella pulled me and my wife out of the car. Thank God for here. Really appreciate it. Early this morning I leave to go work. Baby daddy love you, right? Current real pushing, eh? Real current. Walking on this current pushing, eh, boy? We're in Kelly Village on the stretch, on the long stretch here. Vehicle passing, but you see here, it have a big current pushing here. That will push me off the road. See, you know, see, no air's nothing here. That will push me off the road. Yeah, but now. Where the bell bus for? Huh? The bell bus?
No, that's the front.
Oh, it's spinning. On there. That truck got capsized by.